Hey everyone, Gator here. I wanted to show you all something that I've been doing, that I've been promising the room for a while, and I finally had the time to make the video and to get some clips. So I want to show you how I use stochastics to capture a really good Tesla move, a couple actually really good Tesla moves, and how I use them to avoid buying too soon and getting chopped up in some of those like false breakouts that you see. So this video is going to cover a little bit of that, and in the middle of the video I'll talk about the future of the channel and what I plan on doing in the near future. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here. So Tesla had been dropping and it popped up a little bit, and you can see that it's hitting the 2-minute 21, or the 1-minute 21, I'm sorry, and the 2-minute 8. So this is a setup short here, and it's a know your limit 21. It's also a red takes green on the 2-minute. So there's several trades here that trigger it. What let me know to buy right here was actually the stochastic lines and not knowing if it would pop or if it would drop. So you can see my entry right here where the price that I got in at. And if you notice on the 1-minute chart, which is the top left stochastic chart, you can see that the line on those stochastics are about to cross to the downside. They are towards the top of the range and about to cross to the downside. They haven't crossed yet, but they're about to. If you want a little bit more certainty, I usually wait for them to cross, but they were about to cross. It was a Tesla move, so I went ahead and bought here. The line started touching, they started going down, and Tesla was really weak this day. The Qs were going lower. So there were several indicators. I generally don't just use stochastics to let me know to buy, but they're just a tool that I use that gives me a lot of confidence in my plays and allows me to hold trades for a little bit longer. So used to, and this wouldn't have been a bad trade at all, I could have sold right here. I'm not sure how much it dropped or popped. Honestly, probably 30, 40, 50 cents, and you could say that I had 30 contracts, so that would have been a pretty good, a pretty good win there, and nothing to be ashamed about. But the purpose of this trade was to actually catch a more significant move lower and to see if I could use the stochastics to actually make more money when trading has been a little bit more difficult and a little bit more hard. So can I get a little bit more out of my plays? So while we're waiting here, and you'll see Tesla go down some, and I held through all this, and you'll see when I sell, I want to talk about the stochastics a little bit. On the 1 and the 2-minute, if you can see that on the 1 and 2-minute, you see the stock is 7 and then 3%. And then the D is 3%, which is the white line. So you can see those two. Notice that's different than the 5-minute and the 10-minute chart, which is the bottom two. You have a 5% and a 3%, and then a 3% D. And same thing on the 10-minute. They need to be that way. I can't tell you exactly why they need to be that way, only that they need to be that way. That's the best. That's what I have found works, and that's per one of Mark's earlier videos that you can look up in the drive, or that I can share with you if you ask, or you can ask in the room, and someone will definitely share it with you. And he'll explain the setup and why they're set up like that. It's actually somebody else's idea. I've just been using it, and I'm just sharing it with y'all to show how I make money with it and how I take bigger plays with it. So what you want is you want as many of the stochastics as possible to be pointing in the down direction. And really quickly here, this was so hard to hold at this point because it popped. Usually I would have sold by here. And the only reason I didn't is I was up, I think, 1.5 points at this point. And I think during that pop, the contracts did not significantly drop. I think I went down to maybe 80 cents. I would have been green if I sold, but I just decided to hold. Probably stupid, but you'll see that it actually works. And I think the reason that I held, this is a day later that I'm doing this audio, is the 2-minute is starting to cross down. So I bought as the 1-minute crossed down, and as it's going down, it's driving that 2-minute. Now look at this explosion down. You can see that the stochastic on the 2-minute is dropping, the stochastic on the 5-minute is starting to cross down, and bam. here we go. Here's the big drop that happened, and this paid me really well, as you can see by the print right there. And I didn't hold here. And one of my sell signs is, you see those two lines going across, the green line and the red line. Not all the time, but generally speaking, when those stochastic lines start coming back together, and especially when they're on the other side of that red line, that 20% line, and they start crossing closer to each other, that kind of lets me know I need to get out of it, or there's more of a chance that it goes in the opposite direction. So I choose to sell, and I'm really happy with, I think, 2.5 points on 30 Tesla calls. You can do the math yourself, but that was a really good trade and a really good hold. Maybe a stupid hold. You know, I could have easily lost when it popped there, but I was ready to sell. I saw it popping, and I just, you know, thankfully chose to hold. They don't all go that way. This is a good example of it. This is why I'm posting it here. But I will be posting videos this week, next week. I've got new software for recording videos. For a while there, I was using DaVinci Resolve. I was having constant issues with it. It was deleting my videos. It wouldn't let me render, and it wasn't picking up my microphone. And I finally got that resolved by switching, and now I'm using HitFilm Express, and that seems to be working a lot better for me right now. And I'm not having the same issues. So it took me a little bit to learn that, and that's why there's been a delay in the last couple weeks with posting videos, along with I have twins, and I was on vacation, and a bunch of other stuff that was going on. But there should be a lot more content, and I'm going to make a lot of stuff about the stochastics and how I use them to make money, and show plays. I'm going to show some plays that don't work and some plays that do work, just so you see it does work both ways. And the stochastics, you can see them crossing up right here, and I'm going to speed this video up in a second. So, you know, I think I've got about 30 minutes of footage. I'm gonna speed it up, but you'll be able to see how they add confidence. They add a little bit of conviction. When I just look at something, I can skim something, be like, hey, Tesla might pop here. Was it going to go down? Like right now, you just saw this big drop in Tesla. You could really be tempted to go short. I was not tempted to go short here because I see that 1 minute stochastic going higher. And not only going higher, it's like separating higher. And there are other indicators too. But you can also see the 2 minute is starting to cross up. The 5 minute is still leaning up. And also the 10 minute is leaning up at this point. So I am done with it for now. For this exact second, like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm checking it to see, because now it's hitting the 8, but the stochastics still aren't set up right. So even though technically, yes, it could drop, and you do have a thing here, a technical setup here, my conviction is a lot lower. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means my conviction is a lot lower. So maybe instead of taking 30 contracts, if I was to try to front run and buy here, which I would do a lot when something hits a moving average, a lot of times I'll buy at that point. This changes that for me, and it lowers my conviction, so it lowers my tier size and allows me to stay safe when I'm trying to catch bigger moves in a trade. Because a lot of times after making this much money, your idea is, I'm going to slam it again, I'm going to slam it for 50 contracts this time, and that's usually how you get back what you. So we're going to see it right here, and you're going to see how it actually saved me from losing. See, right here, it looks like it could be a short, and I've sped everything up, but it looks like it was going to pop or go down there. What kept me away from this trade right here? It was not just that the 1 minute was going up. As you'll see later, I still would have bought, but the 2 minute is going up stochastic, the 5 minute is going up, the 10 minute is going up, and the 1 minute is going up, and none of them are near those higher markers, the 80% markers at the top of the flow. And if you look at the stochastics throughout the day, you'll see that they do ebb and flow from the top to the bottom. And while the moves are not always as violent as Tesla, as a matter of fact, I almost never use this strategy on Tesla unless you're getting really good follow through. Usually I use it on things like Apple, Facebook, names that don't move a lot and don't move very fast, AMD maybe, things that, you know, it takes a little bit to make the money, but then once you get safe, it's not going to rip against you. Tesla can rip against you and can be really hard. But at no point here did I start buying. Here is one point where I could have bought. I could have begun to start shorting, but I didn't, and the reason was I wanted the 2 minute 21. It was close to the 2 minute 21, and this would be a good short in here. Look at the 1 minute starting to go down. The 1 minute stochastic is going short. but none of the other ones are. And I thought that it was so close to the 2-minute 21 that I was going to wait for it to hit. Personal decision. Could be right, could be wrong. You know, I could have sized down here and scalped it short and had a little bit of room. But you can see things starting to get, now look at them now. You can see them starting to get there. I didn't take this. This would have been a nice little play here. I think you probably could have made something. It was for sure a good play. You can see the 1-minute stochastic starting to cross down. Notice how it got together before it went down. But you're not getting that follow through because the rest of them aren't ready yet. But you are getting that initial pop. So this one would have been a good, just quick pop play while we're waiting for it to go up and hit the moving average. That's going to give us a lot more conviction, as you'll see in a second, where we get a much bigger play. Now we're seeing the 2-minute starting to cross. We're seeing the 1-minute starting to cross. The 5-minute is a little bit higher. I think it could go short here. I'm kind of itching to jump in it, but I don't. I just wait because it's sped up right now, but these moves are actually really hard if you're watching it real time. There's not a lot of follow through. This is a lot of chop and slop, especially if you're not getting good price improvement here. There's not a lot of movement. So at any point here, you could have got a bad fill and lost 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, and it just could have been that waiting for it to pop. Oh, it might drop here, it might drop here, it might drop here. Notice the 1-minute stochastic is dropping, but Tesla's not really dropping that hard. So there was definitely some money to be made there. I didn't make and I didn't lose. I was just patiently waiting for the right setup, and that's kind of what's been saving me during this really hard environment. And do you miss some plays? Sure. But look at that previous candle on Tesla right there. Look at that. Even though it went red at one point, it was almost at the top of the previous candle. So don't underestimate how hard some of these plays are. Now, if I would have bought and just held through it all, you know, it would have worked. And look, the stochastic went down. Now look, it's crossing up. You see it's down at that 20% and it starts crossing up. So now if I would have been holding at that time, I would have sold because that 1 minute is crossing up. I think it's going to pop. So at this point, I think I'm alerting the room. I think I told people to leave it alone here. Wait for the 2-minute 21 to hit. Wait for it to set up. And now I've slowed the video down because we're about to hit. Now I've got conviction. And this here isn't just a stochastics play. So I don't, like I said, usually just use them. They're used in conjunction with something else to give me a good entry point so I get filled with good price improvement, hopefully, at a good point where I get ahead on the trade so I can hold it. That's how I do it. Because I really don't like being red in a trade. I like to get in and be green, and then I can go down the risk slide, sell some, hold some, you know, depending on the name, and lock in profits and then let some run, you know, whatever, however you want to trade it. But here I like it. The stochastic on the 1 doesn't look great, but the 2 looks good. The 5 is starting to cross down. The 10 doesn't really look great, but what matters more than that is that 2-minute 21. That is such a powerful play. So like I said a few minutes earlier in this video, I was going to ignore the fact that the line hadn't gotten there yet because of what was setting up here, which was a 2-minute 21 short. And Kelly talks about this. You can watch his videos, or not videos, his look at some of his stuff on how to play this. And I basically take that and then I use this stochastic here to help me take it and hold. I bought right there, so you can see my fill and you can see where I'm at, and now I'm pretty much holding. The reason I didn't sell yet, I'm green right now, is I've got a 2-minute trigger. That red is about to take green on the 2-minute. The stochastic is pointing down on the 2-minute. It's pointing down on the 1-minute. It's about to cross to the downside on the 5-minute. You also, and then, well, the 10-minute isn't, but that's not really important for a trade like this. It would be better, but it's fine. You know, I have no doubt that this is going to work. So I'm still holding here. I'm up, you know, a decent amount. And I will say, and we'll get to it when this trade is over, that I did not make as much as I could on this trade. I was actually about to have to leave the house at this point. I had a chiropractor appointment and I had to go feed my boys, help feed them before I went to it. So I was on really short time here and I didn't make the best trade, but it was still a really good trade, and it worked, and I held through everything that's about to happen here. And I was calling it out in the room when I was in, saying I was playing it short, that I was still holding, but you see you got your green. Green just took red here, so you're going to get the downside. The stochastic is seriously going down. And notice that it did not go all the way up and hit that 80%. So like I said, this is not something that's like, man, this tells me exactly what's going to happen. This is an indicator to be used with other things on your charts to help you gain confidence in plays, to keep you out of some of that chop and slop. Yes, you might miss some plays because you're taking less of them, but I find for myself I lose less, and in this hard environment, that's really what's kind of kept me green and kept me consistent. And August is a hard month to trade, generally speaking, but I'm still holding. You can see how much separation there is on that 1 minute and the 2 minute. So instead of selling here, I'm just holding it. I'm up probably a point at this point. I don't know exactly how much I'm up, but I'm up a decent amount here, and I'm just going to hold it, and I'm going to let it ride. If Tesla was just to rip up, I would sell and probably not lose. I might not gain as much as I could have, and you'll actually see that here in a second, but I made a good trade and I wasn't going to lose, and my upside is potentially more, because really I'm holding to day lows here. It wasn't my idea. Before I realized I had other stuff I had to go do, I would have been holding this through the pop that I sell it in, and I would have held it all the way to day lows, because that was the plan of the trade. And I'm in no way saying that you should do this or that you should hold this long. Like, hey, maybe you should sell longer. I had no idea that Tesla was going down. If you're trade Tesla, it rips against you. And, even as much as I was up here, I could have easily gone red. Tesla is aggressive. So don't do it like, oh, the stochastics are going down. That means this. Get comfortable with it. Learn how you trade and learn how you can use this as a tool to help you. I'm not posting this to be like, oh man, he just made this much, I've got to do it and I've got to hold that long. No, you don't. Like, I could have sold before Tesla started popping here and done better. Look what's happening on the stochastic, so there might be a short-term pop. At least for me, this is what's going through my head at this point. Look, we're below that 20% line. They're starting to cross up. You see that they're getting closer together. The 2 minute is also hitting that 20% line down there at the bottom. There's a good chance you might get a little bit of a pop here. So there's no telling what's going to happen. I just use these as assistants and as indicators to help me get more out of a trade. And at this point, I realize I have to leave, and I decide whatever this next candle does, if it shorts, I'm going to sell it. If it pops, I'm going to sell it and let it be what it is. But you can see the stochastics getting closer together, and you can tell that, hey, it might go lower, might go higher. I'm okay with holding. And I actually don't sell right now. I tried to hold it a little bit longer than I should have, and we're going to see Tesla do what Tesla does, and that's, shake people out for a good time. So at the close of this candle, I think is actually when I sold, not the close of the previous candle. At exactly 10:56, and you'll see it is when I sell. So after this candle closes. But I hope this does help you, and I hope it helps you kind of understand how I use them. So if you have questions, please ask them. I'm going to be doing more of these videos. I'm not going to say daily, but regularly. So here's where I sell right here, and I don't get as much as I think I could have on this trade. I think at one point I was up over 2 points on this trade, and because I waited, see, here's the risk when you wait. I could have taken more money. I didn't. I held that pop. Now if I was still here, I would honestly still be holding, or I would have sold half, and I would have looked to re-enter. Would have been more likely what I did was sell half there and look to re-enter as it goes down. That's another way I play it, but I didn't. I had to go. So I'll speed this up here just so we see what Tesla does do and what the stochastics look like. But I hope this is a good kind of video for y'all to check out, to kind of see how I've been using them. And I will start sharing a lot more videos with you, and I'll start doing a lot more of these, especially if you like this, if this is something you want more of. Let me know, and I'll post them. Now that I have this new software, it's a lot easier to use. It's very simple, so I'm not concerned with I'm not concerned with the time. I should be able to get them done now. I have a lot more time to complete them. So please let me know what you think. I really appreciate everybody watching this, especially if you stayed. It's like a 20-minute video at this point. So I hope you got something out of it. If there's questions you want me to answer, if this was too long and I can just show some clips and maybe some sped up clips of me using stochastics, my fills on entries and exits, I can do that. Let me know what you want to see, and let me know what questions you have. I look forward to trading with y'all, and as Mark says, happy trading, make money, and I will see you all in the NewsBeat live room.